Well, it's interesting that one would identify Norman's shows as politically incorrect, because I would just say they were political. They were incorrect characters, but that was how you could access those controversies and have those discussions. They weren't always really funny, these shows. They were serious. The Jeffersons was interracial. It was someone moving up economically in the world and having more power than they had had. Good Times was also an interracial show, but in a different way. Different Strokes was like that. Married with Children was politically incorrect for sure. It reflected that whole lifestyle that had evolved that wasn't the same when 12 years ago I had started working with Norman shows, and all of the shows were a little bit nicer. What I loved about them was that they were a social statement. They were making people aware of their behavior and possibly opening a conversation and making change. So now we're doing costumes for something where we're making people aware of how people behave badly. And in picking the clothes, we are giving subtle direction as to what you should think about this person. And that's the thing about costumes. Costumes are clothes. They are just clothes that you can buy in the store, but which item you pick and how you put it on someone and how they wear it and how it fits them all speaks to who that person is. And the minute you see them, you know something about them. There's a little secret told to you about who that person is, and that's why costumes are important. Esther Roll was a role model for an enormous number of people. And I have listened to people talk about it, and it was the first time they saw a Black family really be a family on TV. So what Esther wore was really important to those people. We were much more real also then about the clothes. I remember having to fight a little bit about this and saying they shouldn't have new clothes all the time. Now, I didn't do Good Times, don't misunderstand, but say on one day at a time, they should repeat their clothes because they only had so much money, and that's what real people out in America have to deal with. Now, when I got to Silver Spoons was not real. You had a wealthy man who was playing with toys and doing toys, and he could be casual. You had a kid who's been adopted. Same with Different Strokes. You have these kids coming into this wealthy family. Their clothes, however, still reflected the fact that they could afford more. So suddenly you began to have more clothes on everybody. Red Fox's clothes, and the whole show was designed by Rita Riggs, and she clearly made a point of having him wear things that he had for a long time. He's a rag picker, and so he's not going to have a lot of money. He's not going to get rid of things. I think he had like maybe 3 sweaters, 2 pairs of pants, a suit, 2 suits, a couple of ties. That was it. And we came right into his living room, and we saw those clothes also hung on the set. The costumes on Married with Children, again, reflected the times. So Christina Applegate wore this great neo-California look. It was a cotton lycra dress, and it was in the colors of the time, one of the color combinations, which was pink and orange. And it was just a really contemporary dress that spoke to her outrageous character and her great body, and the fact that everybody was tuning in to see what Kelly was wearing. That was important. Al dressed up in his Godfather suit, and the fact that we refer to it as the Godfather suit is a reflection of how strong our imagery comes from these movies, from The Godfather, and we all know what a Godfather suit looks like. We know exactly what it looks like, and Al knew what a Godfather suit would look like, and he, it's just so interesting to see that whole evolution of imagery and where costumes become important. When I say that a costume has value, and it gains value, is actually as time goes on. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about what those actors and what those characters meant to people who were watching. It's really interesting to talk to people elsewhere, not in Hollywood, but elsewhere in the country, and hear them talk about those TV shows, which were just what you worked on and what was happening on the other stage at the lot. We've begun finally to see clothes have costumes or iconic outfits have importance that we didn't understand for years, because they bring up moments in history to us. That's part of it. They bring up to each person a different meaning. It was really part of our lives, and it was just the same all across America. We had so much less TV that all of America saw the same things. All of America had the same issues. We now have so many different shows that you really can't watch them all. You wouldn't ever leave your house.